fled Russia. So I'll pass it over to...
Okay, so is this working?
Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming to the second panel, which I'm delighted to be the chair of. I'm going to introduce our three speakers, and we're going to have a format. They're then going to speak for a few minutes just talking about their own experiences, and then I'll go straight into the questions. So Willis Blackshear Jr. is currently serving his second term as state representative for Ohio's 38th House District, which includes the city of Dayton, Riverside, and parts of Huber Heights. He is the senator-elect for Ohio Senate District 6, with his term commencing in January 2025. Congratulations. Representative Blackshear... Representative Blackshear serves his hometown in the only way he knows how, by working together to find solutions to the issues that matter most to working people and families. He is prioritizing ways to reinvest in area neighborhoods and communities, bring tax dollars back to the district, and put more money back into the pockets of Ohio taxpayers. Representative Blackshear is committed to helping Ohioans achieve the American dream. He is a Dayton area native and served as outreach specialist at the Montgomery County's Auditor's Office and earned his BA in Political Science from Wright State University and is currently pursuing his MBA at Ohio State. Welcome. Islam Sheikh Bandarov is president of the Ahiska Turk American Community Center and a key figure in the Ahiska Turkish American community. Residing in Dayton, Ohio, he is dedicated to strengthening Turkish-American relations and advocating for the Ahiska Turks.
Enough.
All right, fair enough.
You need more.
I'm going to move straight on to Mohammed. He called me time. So Mohammed Al-Hamdani is the current chair of the Montgomery County Democratic Party. He's a graduate of Wright State and the University of Dayton School of Law. Mohammed has dedicated himself to serving his community. After graduating from Wright State University, Mohammed went on to work with the Department of Defense as a cultural advisor to the Marine Corps, and his work helped develop cultural and linguistic immersion training for over 3,000 Marines prior to the deployment to Iraq. Mohammed was named as a 40 Under 40 award recipient by the Dayton Business Journal in 2016. He's a current member of the Miami Valley Fair Housing Center Board and is the former president of the Dayton City School Board. He's an immigration attorney in Dayton, a partner at Flanagan, Lieberman and Rambo, and in 2021 was inducted into the Dayton Business Journal. In 2021, he was named a Super Lawyers Rising Star in 2020 for his tireless work in helping immigrants achieve their American dream. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to talk for a few minutes on your experiences and what you want to say about the Ahiska Turks in Russia and US, and I will let you know when you've hit the 5-minute mark.
Okay. So the topic of this panel is Ahiska Turks in Russia and US. So it's obviously a comparison to about our life there and the life here, and the comparison about when you're given an equal chance. It's about equal opportunities, equal chance. What could be happening, what community can do. Earlier today, you guys see on the background video the documentary that little bit talks about my own experience in Russia, and also how some of the government, specifically Government Tkachev was, Richard, you know well about it as your expert. He was a former Krasnodar. When he is on public TV, been accusing Ahiska Turks of almost being genetically incapable to live in any society, let alone the Russian society. So this is a critical panel, and I'm very happy that lots of young generation is presented here, and lots of scholars, experts, and of course ladies, because it's important that we engage everyone equally and make sure everyone participates in the grassroots. Really, few things about why is this panel important and why we're doing here with the Jamestown Foundation. Jamestown Foundation is one of the leading non-profit think tank in U.S. that helping shape the policy, and their focus in Eurasia a lot. They have enormous work done, and it's important that Jamestown Foundation step in and support our goal to bring recognition to our plight and today is the 80th year of deportation. A while ago, I've been giving an interview, and I said that this is some experts say it's not just a deportation; it's basically genocide. And here's the data: out of 100,000 people who've been deported, 20,000, nearly 20,000 died. And plus, there have been about 18 to 20,000 deployed to the war, because it was during the World War II, and 85% never returned out of those 18 to 20,000 people. So the Stalin regime decided to deport the women, elder, kids, people who are sick, and no one who can defend themselves, because everyone who was capable to fight been deployed to the war, front line. Therefore, I really think that this is in fact was an attempt of genocide, ethnic cleansing, but not just displacing the entire community based on their ethnicity and religion, but also based on the harm they cause. Over 25% to 30% of entire population wiped out. So it's critical that we bring this, and it's critical to bring this, and we talk about this topic here in DC, and in attempt to bring US into the play. I'm grateful that some other countries in Central Asia, specifically Turkey, in Caucasus, in Europe, does a lot to bring the recognition to apply to Ahiska Turks within the Georgia. Georgia, up until today, never allowed, or they, let's say, despite the fact that they take the responsibility to be, when they get the roadmap to European Union to allow Ahiska Turks return, they have an enormous restriction that basically makes it impossible to anyone to repatriate, let alone live there. So it's very important that the U.S. and Western governments and societies, very importantly, start at least getting understanding of the matter and be a part of it. So again, this is a great opportunity, and of course I'm here to celebrate 20th year of relocation to US. It's a really celebration, and I'm grateful that, and we have a lot of new Americans that actually came based because of the Russian aggression against Ukraine, and I believe that this new generation needs to be active part of it, because we have a lot of experts that can help them. Go ahead.
You're out of time, buddy. All right. My name is Mohammed Al-Hamdani. I'm the current chair of the Montgomery County Democratic Party, where a lot of you live in Montgomery County and Dayton, Ohio. So thank you all for being here. Before I start, I want to say thank you to Islam, Richard Arnold, the good folks of the Jamestown Foundation for hosting this, and everyone that's worked on it. Thank you guys for hosting us. Appreciate that. Give them a round of applause for it. You're doing a wonderful job. This is a great turnout in Washington, D.C. in November. I got to tell you, when my family came here as refugees when I was 10 years old. We escaped a war in Iraq, and like many of you, Dayton was our first home outside that process. And so it's great to see all these young people here today, because I remember being one of those young people who came to America with no idea what that means, right? And today I can say, because of people who invested in me, like you're invested in these folks, I was able to go to school, go to college, go to law school, and make something of ourselves when our former home countries wouldn't allow us to do that. So good job to all of you. You guys are doing an amazing job. I want to say that I think the first question is how do I get involved with the Ahiska Turks? And I got to tell you, when I came back from working with the Marines back in 2010, I'd moved back to Dayton. Dayton was my home. I heard about a man from Russia and who was a Ahiska Turk, and his name was Islam, from a friend of mine, Paul Bradley, actually, who at the time was working for Sherrod Brown, our senator, still our senator in the state of Ohio. And I was like, well, I have to meet this gentleman because they took over. At the time, they took over what back then was called the Bomberger Center, which is now called the Ahiska Turkish American Center. But I remember the Bomberger Center as a place where I played basketball as a young kid. And between 2008 until you guys took it over, it was dilapidated. It was a wasteland, and it was falling apart. And the Ahiska community, with the leadership of Islam, rebuilt a whole center. So I was like, I have to go meet him. And that's the first interaction I had. And from then on, I knew that the Ahiska Turks had a big role to play in Dayton. It was obvious from day one. The reality is the Ahiska Turks took over North Dayton. And for many people who are not from Dayton, post the recession, the Great Recession, that community was hit really hard. A lot of the folks who lived in North Dayton ended up leaving homes behind, dilapidated, falling apart. The economy was crashing. There were no jobs there. The city didn't know what to do with this neighborhood, and lo and behold, the Ahiska Turks show up, right? And through their tireless work, that whole community transformed overnight. Houses that you couldn't sell for $2,000 now became mansions overnight. They did amazing work, not just to rebuild the community, but like most immigrants, they invested in the city they lived in, right? They invested in Dayton, turned the economy around, built businesses, from trucking businesses to home health care to now restaurants opening in this neighborhood. And I'll tell you, as the former president of the Dayton School Board, they helped transform our schools as well. We had schools with low enrollment. Now you couldn't even get a seat at Kaiser. Most of your kids probably went to Kaiser, right? You guys remember that? Like Kaiser became one of the busiest, overfilled schools overnight. That and Belmont High School became really busy because of the Ahiska Turks that moved there. So it really did transform our city. And over time, now you guys are beyond just transforming our city. You're transforming our county. Because most of you made money and became big, and like most Americans, you moved to the suburbs, right? So which is great. That's what you're supposed to do. But the Ahiska Turks are a perfect example of what immigrants can do when they're given a chance, when they're given the power, and when they're given the power to be themselves. And we see this over and over again. You guys are a perfect example of what immigration to America can do. And I wish everybody can see that. I wish everybody in America can see what you guys did for Dayton. Because if they do, then they realize that most immigrants, especially Ahiska immigrants, are good for our community. They're good for the economy. They're good for our schools. They don't commit crime, and they generate a lot for our economy. So I'll stop there because I'm out of time. Thank you. I think I stole a lot of your thunder.
You
right?
actually took everything I was going to say.
But you're good.
If my words are short, I blame Mohammed. He said basically everything that I was going to say. But I want to thank Islam for inviting me. When he calls, you have to answer the call of duty. So that's why I'm here in D.C. So I appreciate you. Want to give a special shout out to Ali in the crowd as well. Huge supporters of mine. So once again, Willis Blackshear Jr., state representative of Ohio's 38th House District and state senator-elect for District 6. So I represent a lot of you in this room. Hopefully I've been doing a great job, and if I'm not, you can pull me to the side and just give me an earful. But each and every day I do my best to represent this district the best way that I can. So my exposure, I would say it was more so felt first before it was seen. City of Dayton went through a economic downturn where we had companies leave, homes were falling apart, people were just leaving the city. And there was a wave, and revitalization ended up happening in the area. More people were coming in, businesses were being started, pumping millions of dollars. I'm gonna have to say that, pumping millions of dollars into our economy now. That number is going to continue to grow. And, school system has started to improve. But one thing that I will say is that the service that I see day in and day out, service that, you know, doesn't need the spotlight on, service that, you know, you don't have to yell on a mountain and let folks know what you're doing. I've been to toy drives, food drives. When I think about Bomb Burger, that was a place that was near and dear to my heart. And it was just sitting there for a while. But then you all came in and revitalized it. You all came in and made a difference. And I believe if it wasn't for you, it would still be sitting there. I believe that if it wasn't for the revitalization, the rehab of homes, and the businesses in our community, I don't know exactly what the city of Dayton would look like today. And I think that deserves a round of applause because, you know, it's a lot of hard work. The Hiska Turks have done great work in the community, and it's only the beginning. And it's just a testament to hard work, dedication, and perseverance. The stories that I hear day in and day out, a lot of people started with nothing, and came here and are now living the American dream. And these are stories that need to be told more often. You know, I believe that, you know, with social media, it definitely does help, but I believe that our news stations, and we need to talk more about it as well, because a lot of great work has been happening not only in the city of Dayton, but, you know, around Ohio and essentially in America. And I believe we can learn a lot about the work that you all have been doing in our society, in our community. Despite the odds that may have been stacked against you, you persevere. You are a true testament of what hard work looks like. And I just think about where we are at now, because the Hiska Turks, you know, started to come to Dayton in about 2006, around that time. And I think about how far we've come as a city and as a community, so I can only imagine what the next 10, 15 years look like. The best is yet to come. That's one of my favorite sayings, and, you know, the work that I see you all doing, the best is yet to come. But then I also want to say this too. I got exposed to a lot of Hiska Turks, MLK, volunteering, you know, helping out Dr. Whitmore, you know, being there for the community, because we're in this together. We're in this together, and it's going to take all of us to help push our communities forward. Not just some of us, but all of us. And we have to make sure that we have policies that reflect what America truly is.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm going to start by asking 2 rounds of questions, and then I'm going to open it up to the floor. So my first question is for Islam. Can you give me some examples of how the Hiska Turks have integrated into the Dayton community, and some of the ways in which, we've heard a bit about this, but some of the ways in which they've improved life in Dayton?
Yes, definitely. But before I give the example of how it's integrated, I'll give you how we lived through, because I'm the only one who actually lived through the same group, same people, what we had to go in Russia. So it will be give
Sure, absolutely,
perspective of, and then I can tell, you know, how we did integrate it, how well we did. So in Russia, Steve, and you've been telling that, and especially Steve on his speech was saying that people were stateless, without citizenships, without paperwork. They couldn't do anything. But I'm going to add to it, we wasn't without paperwork. People was without anything, meaning stateless. They didn't have any other citizenships too. There wasn't any citizenships. Basically, being, let's say, compared to U.S., that some people will call that there is a lots of number of illegal residents, undocumented. Yeah, sorry, undocumented. But those people has a documents elsewhere. Those people has documents elsewhere. Majority of people who came back in 2004, 2006 did not have a single document. So that's how harsh it is. So I know the situation that there was in segregated classes. You mentioned about MLK. That's how we're like. There was a segregated classes in Krasnodar and some of the Rostov regions where our kids, our people of my descent had to go fully Turkish classes because they thought that we are not capable to do anything. It's important. It's very critical that we all recognize this. Third thing, which is obviously when third-class citizens, they called us third-class people, then those Cossacks, militia, they would come anyone in the street and harass them without any fear of being held liable. It's critical that we understand the life many of my people had to go in Russia, because that's the reason we are here. And Steve on his panel can give insight about how the resettlement program started. But this is the core. We've been basically a group of people that wasn't entitled to anything. And here we are here, time we came to United States. And it was one of the very unique resettlement program, because before us, similar was with the Jewish, Soviet Jews, very similar. It's not like other communities who came. It was very unique resettlement program under P2 status. There is a number of, our lawyers can tell, there's a number of different statuses people can get to US. Ours was very, very unique one, and which allowed many people come to United States. And a moment we feel and understand the freedom we have, but with freedom, equal opportunity came. Despite of all kind of problems we're facing as a nation in US, and I'm telling we because I'm American, there's still a long way to go, but we're far beyond the many other places. And we are the living example of it. So the integration in Dayton was very simple because we've been treated fairly and equally. This is critical. We didn't get unfair advantages. We didn't have anything that other people didn't have. But we had one thing that we never had before, the opportunity equally. That is what makes us successful immediately. 20 years pass, and we transform not just the Dayton or region, but many places our people live, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Seattle, same thing happening. I'm very proud of my people, and I'm thankful that as an American society, Dayton was a front runner, an example of that's how Welcome Dayton started, because of our program. So Welcome Dayton speaks for itself, how well we integrated. I have other things to add, but I will let the other panelists speak.
So, for Mohammed, based on your experiences with the Ahiska, how do you believe the recent immigrants to Dayton will contribute?
Well, look, I want to address the elephant in the room, so to speak, first, right? We just had an election in the United States, and a lot of the recent immigrants who came, unfortunately, didn't have the P2 status, right? They came through the border, tried to claim asylum, and I know a lot of you are worried. I see some of you in my office, and you're scared. I want to tell you that America has laws, we have a system, and most of us who are fighting for you will stand and take a bullet for you before we let anybody come close to removing you. A lot of you are worried about that, and I know you're scared, but I'm telling you here, you have nothing to be scared of. You have people fighting for you. People like Islam, people like Steve, people like Richard, people like me, and other attorneys that are here. We will continue to do that work no matter what. The Ahiska Turks who have come recently have picked up where the former Ahiska Turks came in. They are doing an amazing job integrating into the communities. They are doing the jobs most cities need them to do. Look, the reality is there's a shortage of labor all over the United States. And cities like Dayton, our birth rate is very low. We're not replacing the people who are passing away. That's just simple math. So how do you grow a population in a place like Dayton or places like in Pennsylvania that have this similar issues, right? Well, immigration is the key. Immigrants can help you rebuild that whole, the whole population. Dayton, literally, before the Ahiska Turks came to Dayton, Dayton was losing population year after year after year. Since the Ahiska Turks have come, we've stabilized the loss and we've actually built. You see the increase. So immigrants coming into the city of Dayton are continuing, especially the Ahiska Turks. Majority of the immigrants we've had actually have been Ahiska Turks that come to Dayton because of the great work you've done. They have continued to build upon the success of past generations that have come before them. I see them coming in, becoming truck drivers. I see them working at hospitals. I see them working at schools. I see them taking professional and hard labor jobs, jobs that would go unfilled had it not be for the Ahiska Turks that are coming in. So it is key for us to work hard to make sure they remain in our community because we need them. We need them more than they need us, actually. Well, that's the dirty secret nobody's telling you. America needs you more than ever, today more than ever, because we need your labor, we need your brain, we need your money, we need your investment, and we want you to stay. Uncle Sam wants you to keep paying taxes, okay? We want you to remain here and be successful. And so that's the dirty secret. Nobody will ever speak it out, but I'm here to tell you that's the reality. So continue the work you're doing, continue the investment in your community, and continue to work hard because generational wealth is built over time. And the fact is that your new generation that just came in has the support of the prior generation. And that's been amazing to watch because that's not, I will give props to your community. You are unique. In a sense, you have adopted all the new people that came in, even though you guys were 20 years ahead of them here in the United States. You've helped them establish relationships. You've helped them find jobs. You've helped them find legal services, schools, healthcare. Those are very important work that you're doing, and I'm very proud to see you guys doing that work. And I'm very, very proud of all the folks that have come in, and I wish, once again, we can let all of America see what you're doing in Dayton, because it's been amazing. Thank you.
And just as a personalized follow-up, do you see any way in which educational institutions can help with the integration of new migrants into American society?
Well, look, education is key to most of us, right? In America, part of the opportunity you get is you get to go to school, you get a free education, but having a higher education and it can give you that leg up. It gives us a leg up because it puts us on a different playing field. And higher education can mean many things. I'm a collector of degrees. I tell people that. I have a bachelor's degree, I got my law degree, and then I went and got my MBA after that. And that's because having higher education makes you more marketable, right? And you can't get that without the help of the higher education system. But another place where you guys are being very helpful is all the research you're doing on the suffering of the Ahiska Turks. And I got to give Richard props. He recently helped me win a big case for an Ahiska Turk for asylum, so give him a big hand. He really did. So the work he did, his research, when he came to speak with all of you, really helped us convince a judge, for example, that this is true, that this is happening to them. And that's the kind of role that higher education could play.
Excellent.
Give him props.
Well,
I didn't have to convince the judge much once I said Richard is speaking, So
just off the top of my interest, one of the things I think educational institutions can do is certify Russian qualifications.
For sure.
So
yes.
A lot of immigrants do have recent qualifications, but nobody recognizes the institutions. So there's a critical role there for higher education institutions to certify, to pass, to have an exam and just say, look, this person's met our standards.
Right.
But I'll pass it over to Representative Blackshear. How have the Ahiska Turks been involved with governance in Dayton and the broader area?
Yeah, so I would say that the Ahiska Turks, their political power is growing. Hence why I'm here today. Just came off of a tough election last week, but I think it's important to be visible and to show up. And we have local leaders. The Ahiska Turks came to the city of Dayton and, like I said, revitalized our community, created jobs, helped with the workforce void. You don't just do that and not go unrecognized. And as time goes on, that's going to continue to grow. And we will see more elected officials. We will see that political power continue to grow. I would say I reached out to a lot of Ahiska Turks for money to help me with my campaign, help me get over the finish line. That's political power right there. And as time goes on, that power is going to continue to grow. And, the difference that will be made because of you all will be seen and felt. I see it day in and day out. Houses, old buildings, the companies that are here, the companies that will be coming as well. That makes a difference. And that definitely gets you a seat at the table because there's no reason, there's no way in which you can ignore that. It's impossible. It's impossible. And as we continue to have these conversations and as we continue to figure out how can we not only just grow the city of Dayton, but Ohio and the country as a whole, having those tough conversations, having those conversations that are needed, I think it's important that the Ahiska Turks are at the table because you all have already done so much to help us, and a lot more needs to be done. And I think it's important that when we are making those decisions that, you all are right there front and center.
Okay, I'm going to have one more round of questions, and I'm going to open it up to the... Oh.
I do want to add that, we do have Ahiska Turks who are members of the Central Committee. I want to shout out Ali Shakmandarov, who's the member of the Montgomery County Democratic Party Central Committee. So he's the first Ahiska Turk elected to the... You are the second, but he beat you first.
But that's political power.
That's political power, right?
And it's
right.
going to continue to grow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to have a second round of questions, and I'm going to open it up to the floor. So, for Islam, what businesses have the Ahiska started or founded with native Daytonians? Are there any ways in which the collective experience has been used in doing so?
So it's an amazing question, and here's what I'm going to say. Being deported not once and living in different societies. We live within the Georgians, we live within the Uzbekistan, Kazakh, Kyrgyz communities, Russia and Ukraine, Azerbaijan, which is our brother ethnically same, and of course Turkey. In each society and places we lived, we learned a lot. It made us, all those suffering we had to go in some places made us stronger, and we get only positive things from each society. And that make us very unique community ourselves. We are really different. I'm gonna tell you, in terms of business, we're very entrepreneurial. We are, entrepreneurship is in our almost blood right now. Most of the community members own their own businesses. The first thing was the transportation because it was the easiest way to make a dime and make a decent life. Because decent earning jobs without having language. Remember, language barrier was the key barrier that we have to overcome first years when we came. And of course, since then, it's grown to different places. I'm gonna tell that we have a very young people who's came here from Oklahoma. He's in, very interesting white-collar jobs, very high-paying. We have ladies and sisters that actually receiving six-figure salaries and in IT sphere. We have very successful doctors, healthcare employees. We have very successful lawyers. We have in Illinois, we have here, part of our community, Nazlı Hanım. We have many other fields, healthcare, transportation, and the most important critical right now that I see the community moving is not just the transforming their small businesses, they're becoming now, those small businesses now start becoming enterprises. That's mean that we're not just helping ourselves or immediate family members. Now we are employers. That's what's happening. And this is in a very short amount of time, in a span of 20 years. This is amazing. We've been because of the success, we've been featured in New York Times, the Time magazine, the ProPublica, very recent one, USA Today article about the success of the Aniska Turks as entrepreneurs and as a community in general. So I give you a brief about what sphere we've been, and it's not just because we are smart by, or different than others. It's because of the experience we learn from each place we've been displaced, give us the strength and know-how, and we quickly adapt it to the reality. And we all know America is a land of dreams, land of opportunities, and I guess our community is getting. One thing I would share that would be helpful if we start engaging more in politics, and I want to see our elected officials. And I think maybe Ali is the future one, that will be locally elected, and maybe others, young people here. So I will keep this one, and maybe I will answer a few other questions. I want to say a few words in Turkish because many people watching online.
Yeah, no problem.
Would you allow me?
Yes.
Şimdi bu Türkçe konuşacağım. Çünkü internetten de bakıyorlar şimdi. Online de bakıyorlar. Bundan sonra da bakacaklar bunlara. Yeni gelen Askalılarımız çok. Bugün sadece 80. yılı nedeniyle burada değiliz. Biz burada Azka Türkleri olarak farklı toplulukları, farklı uzmanları, farklı kurum ve kuruluşları bir araya getirmemizin sebebi sadece 80 yıl sürgünün olması değil. Bu çok önemli bir şey tabii. Sürgünün hatırlamak, yad etmek, yaşadıklarımızı dile getirmek çok kritik. Çok önem arz ediyor. Aynı zamanda burada bunları konuşarak, bu toplulukları, bu konulara değinerek Gürcistan'ın tutumunu da etkilemek istiyoruz. Yani Batı'nın bir şekilde Türkiye'nin gösterdiği, sarf ettiği emeklere bir şekilde destek vermesi. Gürcistan'ın bu konuda daha yapıcı olarak belki Amerika'daki yaşayanlar için değil ama dünyanın çeşitli ülkelerinde yaşayan binlerce insan vardır. Bir şekilde Aska'ya dönme hakkı kazanmak istiyor. İstediği zaman oraya gitmek istiyor. İstediği zaman çocuklarını, torunlarını götürmek istiyor ve o hakkın elde olmasını, elde etmesini istiyor. Gürcistan maalesef bu konuda ayak diretiyor. Dolayısıyla ondan dolayı da burada çok önemlidir. Ama sadece o değil. Önemlisi siz, gençler ve bize şu anda televizyondan ve YouTube kanallardan daha sonra veya şimdi bakanlar için sesleniyorum. Biz bu programla Amerikalı olduğumuzu gösteriyoruz. Bu Amerika'nın gerçeğidir. Amerika'da sivil toplum kuruluşları sizlerden oluşuyor. Amerika siyasetini sizlerden yapıyor. Sizlerin sayenizde. Her bir birey olarak Amerika'nın siyaset gelişmesinde bir önem arz ediyorsunuz. Bunların birçok önemli sözü vardır. Siyaset lokalde başlıyor diye. Amerika'daki güç her şey lokalde başlıyor. Herkes bulunduğu yerde çok etkili olabilir. Bugün biz birlikte etkili olduğumuz için Amerika'daki Ohio, Amerika'nın 4. mü 5. en büyük eyaletidir. Senatörü burada bizde şu anda Ohio eyaletteki. Boşuna değil, parti başkanı burada bölgemizin. Bu kolay değil yani boşuna değil bunlar. Sizlerin oluştuğu güçten dolayı. Amerika'nın bize verdiği bu imkandan daha fazla yararlandığımız için biz buradayız. Yararlanabiliyoruz. Keşke daha fazla insanlar bunun farkına yeterek biraz daha fazla bu konuda adım atabilseler. Bakın Amerika'da hayat ekonomik imkanlarla bitmemesi lazım. Ekonomik refaha karıştıktan sonra hayatımızın farklı alanlarda çok farklı bir şeyler yapılabilir. Unutmayın biz burada sadece kendimiz için değiliz. Biz burada geride kalan farklı ülkelerde yaşayan, özellikle Rusya ve Gürcistan gibi bölgelerde yaşayan askerlerin sesi olmak zorundayız. Ukrayna'dan Rusya'nın arasındaki bu acımasız savaştan dolayı iki tarafta da askerler vardır. İki tarafta da. Ve çok acı çekiyorlar. İki taraf kardeş kardeşe vuruyor. Şu anda iki tarafta da şehit veriyoruz. Bu bizim savaş değil. Bunu dile getirmemiz lazım. Onlara destek çıkmamız lazım. Belki bir gün onlar bunun farkında değil ama bu yarınlarımız için çok önemlidir. Bugün burada bir araya geldiğimiz bu gençlerle birlikte. Dolayısıyla 80 yılda birlikte işte Fergana Rusya dağılımında, Sovyetlerin dağılımındaki Fergana'daki kardeşi kırma pogromlardan alarak ta bugüne kadar yaşadıklarımızı dile getirmek çok önemli. Ama siyasilerin ve buradaki Amerikan toplumunun bunları dile getirmesi daha önemli. Kırım Tatarların Polonya'da, Kanada'da yaşadıkları aynı bizim yaşadığımızı yaşadılar. Sürgünü ama onları soykırım olarak kabul edildi. Burada çeşitli topluluklar Amerika'da soykırımı kabul ettirmek istiyor. Eyalet ondan sonra federal hükümete. Ama o acı hikayelerin en acısını biz yaşadık. Dolayısıyla bizler de bunu hep birlikte yapabiliriz diye inanıyorum. Teşekkür ediyorum.
Okay, and my next question for Wallace Blackshear, Representative Blackshear, what are the ways in which the Ohio State government has sought to facilitate resettlement for the Ahiska?
That's a great question, and I actually had to look that up because I believe that more should be done. So the two things that I found was from the Department of Development, basically just provides basic information for local resources and federal organizations. Because one thing that we've learned throughout the years, barriers to entry. There are a lot of programs, a lot of resources that are out here that people just don't know about. So that's what the Department of Development does. It basically provides those local and federal resources. But then also, too, the Department of Higher Education, and basically they provide workplace readiness. But one thing I would like to add, what needs to be done, you know, when I think about our local government, state, and federal, making sure that we are lobbying our elected officials. A lot of people don't know who their mayors are. A lot of people don't know who their council members are. A lot of people don't know who their state representatives or state senators are. Now, of course, we know who the president is, but when we think about those who have direct impact on our everyday lives, it's important that we lobby them because there are things that, you know, you all may see that, you know, a lot of people may not be aware of, or also, too, some of our elected officials may be ignoring. And that's why we got to continue to beat the drum for change to happen. And, you know, when I was doing some of my research, I was a little disappointed that the state of Ohio hasn't done more, because you all have done so much for the community. It's important that we pour that back into each and every one of you. So my call to action will be, you know, even if you don't know, well, if you do know who your mayors and your representatives are, making sure you are sending those letters, making those phone calls, showing up to City Hall, showing up to the state houses, because that's where change happens. And there are a lot of things that happen right under our noses. And we sit back and wonder, well, how did this happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happened. It was our elected officials who, you know, did this work at the midnight hour. And, we should have been the ones knocking at the door. We should have been the ones sending those postcards, making those phone calls. And most importantly, we should have been the ones voting them out. That's important. And that's the beautiful thing about democracy. We can vote these people out. So I think it's important, whatever needs and even some of the wants that you all see or may have, I think it's important to let our elected leaders know, but then it's important also to hold their feet to the fire, making sure that this change happens in our communities.
May I add something? Here's what I think that we should do in the state of Ohio, at least. We have a commission on genocide. Can you tell me the commission name, Richard?
There's a commission on genocide and Holocaust education.
Yes.
Yeah.
That commission make determination which communities in the state of Ohio are qualified to be named under community that went through a genocide. We have so many communities there, from Somalis, Sudanese, Jewish, Bosnian, I believe, some other community members. And I believe we should be there too. So maybe we can work together to convince that commission, at least start working so we can be recognized as a society that went through the genocide in the state of Ohio, at least.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's lobbying in action right there. And that's why things like that is very important. So, yeah, thank you. We'll work on it.
Thank you.
Right, are there any questions from the floor, please?
Any questions, please? Yes, sir.
Just as a point.
Yes, sorry.
Oh.
Sizler de sorun, kim isterse sorular. Muhakkak.
I'm Peter Humphrey. I'm an intelligence analyst and a former diplomat. The guys who are capturing some of your cousins on the fields in Donbass and Luhansk are not going to know who you are. They won't know that the Russians disproportionately drafted you.
Right.
They're going to capture some guy who's not quite Russian, but they're not going to know he's a Turk. And I think it's very important that your community makes a big effort to educate the Ukrainian military to check these guys out. And maybe you don't want to throw this one into the same pot of prisoners as this one, because this one may want to defect as soon as possible, rather than being swapped for a caught Ukrainian on the battlefield.
Thank you. Good idea. We should think about
That's a really
what
good
could be
idea.
done. Any questions? Yes, Nazlı Hanım. Gençler.
Thank you so much. So not a question really, but a suggestion about the genocide bill. One of the things that, well, I guess not a bill, but including Aska Turks in the Ohio's genocide committee. One of the things that has been done for the Ukrainian community in Congress, there has been bills on a Congress and Senate level that asked the U.S. to recognize a Ukrainian community and Russia committing genocide. So I think it's great to start with Ohio Islam, but I think we should talk to our federal representatives, really, the House and Senate, on bringing that bill and voting on it.
Yes, definitely. Adil. There's another one later. Yeah.
Do you believe that the Russian regime will ever be held accountable for the discrimination and displacement of Husky Turks and other minorities?
Who are you asking, me or anyone? Okay, so I think that held regime accountable is what we are doing basically here. This is a part of holding them accountable. We can do so far, but it's not important how much we can do. It's important what each of us did as much as we can. If every member will do what it takes to make sure that our plight are recognized, that's how we're gonna help Russia's regime. And we're just talking, and we'll talk a lot about Russia, but I want to emphasize it's Georgia, no better than Russia for our community. For us, it's more even critical because of they are the one, ironically, but they are the one who is making it impossible for our community to repatriate those who live in nearby and have the right to be called our motherland, just our land. We don't want to fight. We don't occupying. We don't. All we want is a basic rights, equal rights. So we can. Those who wants to return, they can return, and those who wants to call it home can call it home. As a society.
I just wanted to say that we heard on the first panel about the Free Nations of Post-Russia Forum, and I think it's meetings like this that are going to hold the Russian state accountable. I see Maria at the back there. Are going to hold Russia accountable because the pressures on the unrecognized and the ethnic minority communities in the Russian Federation, or so-called Federation, are so great that there will be a day of reckoning. And
so let me add to this. Basically, there is a lots of minorities in Russia. Let's keep it different. We are not the minorities in Russia. We are nobody in Russia. Minorities is the people who indigenous people there. Caucasians, Asians, all kind of different groups who live in Russia. They live in their own land of piece of land. It's their land under basically Russian sovereignty, except Ahiska Turks. Even Chechens, they live on their own land, except Ahiska Turks. I wanted to make sure that we are very clear on this matter. So I don't see any future for Ahiska Turks in Russia, no matter what. But I see future with Georgia. That's the important part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question? Yes, Adil.
My question is, you guys mentioned earlier it's important to get involved in the political space and leadership roles. What does that look like for the youth? Could you guys please provide some resources, some stepping stones at our universities, at our maybe internships that are available in Ohio, at least?
Look, there are many different paths you can take to getting involved. All right, I'll tell you my path. I got involved in politics by volunteering on President Obama's 2012 campaign. It's the first thing I ever did in politics. I went to the office and I just said, hey, I'm a student, I have time, I want to volunteer. And I haven't looked back since then. So it's about walking through doors that are available, and it opens up more doors. From then, I met your predecessor, Mr. Strayhorn, and Mr. Strayhorn connected me to the local party. From the local party, I got involved with other campaigns. I helped run different campaigns. I made money off of politics, and look, there is money in politics, but it's not a lot. If you're thinking you're going to make money running for office, it's not for that. But look, before I ran, other people ran, other Muslims ran. I hate to give a Republican a shout out, but Adel Bakarov was the first Muslim to run in Montgomery County, and he, so when people like us get involved, you're opening the doors for others like us, right? So if I were you, find a cause you're passionate about and go after that first, and either volunteer or talk to one of us to get you connected with those. And you have people in your community. Islam is very well connected. He's very well connected. They can call any politician and say, I have this guy who needs a job or needs this or needs that. And we can help plug you in if you're really looking to be involved in politics. It's very important, not just for the Ahiskas, but any Muslim, it's very important for all of us to be involved in politics, because this is how we build power in America. You have to be involved in where the decisions are made. We cannot complain as a community about all the bad things that are happening to our people where we're not involved and we have no say-so in the decision-making process. So getting involved is very important. So what you're doing today is actually very important. It puts you as part of the conversation. It makes you a part of the overall regime almost. But you want to be, I hear this from young people. They say, I don't like the system. I don't want to be part of the system. That is the wrong attitude, okay? You want to be part of the system. And the American system is designed for involvement. And if you are involved in the system, then you're making those decisions that affect your people and affects your future. So call us anytime, anytime.
My question is, what should we expect from the Trump administration? And I asked Steve this before we started, so Steve, feel free to answer the question too.
Steve will answer also,
man.
but let me say a few words.
Good
we
luck,
are,
Steve.
we have to work with both sides.
Yeah, yes, yes.
So here's the situation. Despite that we have a lot of politicians from the Democratic Party today, back in 10 years ago, Republican side was very active. Kinzinger, we watched
Kissinger was one of your biggest advocates.
Steve Stivers.
Steve Stivers,
Columbus.
yes, from Columbus was also one of your
Yes,
biggest
very
advocates.
right.
Yes.
We have to work with both sides. We have no luxury to single out one part, and personal preference could be different. But as a society, we have to be able to penetrate and get our issues to both sides. Obviously, Democratic side is more receptive, but doesn't mean that we have to stop working on the Republican side.
Sure.
So everything is opportunity. You know, maybe we don't know what's going to happen. We anticipate bad things. Some say this will be good things. But whatever has happened, if it's 4 years of struggle, that means there are going to be big chances that going to be another 4 or 8 years of, prosperity. So we don't give up. We don't have to think negatively. We believe in a democracy, and this is a democracy.
That's right.
In a democracy, people decide. So people in the United States, and surprisingly, to my popular vote, was went to that. That means something's happening in the other side, what shouldn't be happening. I think that our friends in one side of the island will decide or figure out what went wrong, and next time there may be a better chance. But as a Turkish American community member and as a head of the Turkish American Community Society, we cannot work only with one side. So I'm hoping that nothing bad will happen, and in order not to make sure that nothing bad would happen, we have to work with that party also. Anybody gonna say anything in that regard?
Well, look, in 2016, he was elected before. It's not the first time we've seen Trump. He was elected before. You guys remember the first thing he did in 2016? The Muslim ban. Like the Muslim ban, he banned all Muslims from, not all Muslims, many Muslims from different countries. But that one thing he did helped energize us so much that Dayton, Ohio voted for Mohammed al-Hamdani. You gotta think about that, right? Like, you know what I mean? So just, you're Muslims, right? There's something in our Quran, subhanAllah, he says, sometimes you think something is bad for you, but it's actually good. Sometimes you think something is good for you, but it's actually bad. So let us not go into this thinking this is all gonna be negative, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think if he does anything that will harm our community has already shown that we can come together and band together and fight it really hard and successfully win that fight. So I'm not as worried about it. I think I'm more optimistic about our chances than most people, I would say.
You want to add anything? Really quickly?
Well, I just think about how human rights
Right.
historically has been and I hope remains a bipartisan priority of U.S. foreign policy. Let's remember that the resettlement program happens during the Bush administration,
That's
right?
Yes.
Again, as I said, first refugee resettlement program after the closure after 9/11.
Right.
And certainly, a lot, human rights can be advanced from an evangelical perspective.
That's right.
Right? It can be advanced from so many different perspectives. And while I was at Human Rights Watch, we implemented that policy as well. We spoke, as you just said, Islam. Human rights are not partisan. And so telling the story of your community and how successful you've been is extremely important. Of course, I very much worry about policy towards Russia. And I think it's important that you are all educating other Americans about the reality of human rights abuse in Russia, right? And how that has to continue to be a focus.
For sure.
So, but I also take an optimistic stance, and the strength of this community is so remarkable.
That's right.
And the emerging political power is such an interesting point that's being emphasized today. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to educate.
That's right.
We survived it before. I mean,
Yes.
of course, this fight is going to be a lot different because he's been in office. He knows the
what to
ins
do.
and outs. He has some wise advisors around him who's going to probably help him navigate some things now. But we've survived this fight before, and regardless of who's in office, we have to continue to fight. We have to continue to advocate for our communities. Now, the fight is obviously going to look a little bit different, but we survived it before. We'll survive it again. But the fight is going to look a little bit different, but we'll make it through.
We'll make it.
Anybody else want to ask about Ahiska Turks, Russia, and U.S.? If not, do you have any questions? Go
One
ahead.
question.
I'm glad that
That's
young
good.
people
Young
engage.
people want to know. That's good, man.
Yeah, go ahead, Dawood.
So my question to all the speakers and the panelists is that as the Ahiska community, how can we make our voices and our stories heard more among the United States or globally?
You know,
Go ahead, yeah.
I actually just said this in my interview. Social media is a gift and a curse, and I believe that, you know, elevating our voices on social media is very powerful. You know, this is new media in a sense. I mean, you got to think about it. A decade, 2 decades ago, before social media was as prevalent as it is today, we would have to rely on the news to showcase different stories, for the news to give us an opportunity to have a voice. But with social media, you can literally pull out your phone, your laptop, and record a video, and you can reach the masses. And I think that's a way to help elevate the voices, but also too, showing up to City Hall, showing up to the state houses, showing up here in DC, the walls of Congress, to advocate for your communities and to let people know, like, hey, we're here to stay, and this is the work that we've been doing since being here, and we look to continue to advance that, and these are the things that we're advocating for. So social media, if anything else, I feel like you can elevate, young people can definitely, everybody can elevate their voices on social media.
Look, you already have a success model that's worked in Dayton, so I think if you would have told me back in, my family came in 1990s, I've seen Dayton before you came, that the Turkish flag would be flying, off a Kiwi, I would have told you were crazy, right? But it is today, isn't it? Right? Yeah. So you've already changed hearts and mind in a community.
By the way, it's only place outside the Turkish official offices that actually flies permanently.
Permanently. If you'd have told me that Dayton, Ohio would have that, right? I would have called you crazy back in the 90s. But today it is, because you've done the work and you've done it, by being successful, you've changed hearts and minds, right? That's important. You change hearts and minds. We always, as academics, we always say you got to educate people. But that's not how you reach people. You reach people here first. You reach people through the heart first, and then you can change their mind. And you guys have already done that in Dayton very successfully. You had an Eastern European wing of Dayton that wasn't very welcoming to Muslims at first, but now I don't think they know what to do if you would leave, right? So they need you there. So do what you did in Dayton all over the United States, and I think you're going to be fine. You're going to be successful.
So, can I ask? Can I say a few words about this? Yeah. Involving people like you, involving other university students, high school students, in events such this is critical, because you guys the future. You are the future why I'm fighting for, why I'm doing. I'm a very successful businessman personally. I do international business and locally. Trust me, and I'm gonna give applause to Josh from Jaystown for amount of work he put together with me
and Josh
and Steve
and for Islam, to be clear. It's an incredible amount of work.
And Richard, it takes a lot of time and effort. And for someone like me who has tons of other priorities, it's impossible to constantly be on this. So we need a new generation of leaders like yourself and others in this room. If you guys are part of the movement that actually understand the plight, why I put focus on only people, youth here, because I've been many, many years, our elders come together, we pray and we wish for good, and we very sad for what's happened among ourselves. It was happening, repeating many, many years. It has to change. We always can see each other all the time, but we need to involve people like Steve, Richard, Mohammed, Wilson, Jamestown Foundation, Wilson Center. We had an amazing conference the other week with Wilson Center. We have Muskingum University that involved right now. There is another event as we speak, go with the involvement of Sinclair Community College in Dayton as we speak
That's
today.
right.
And I wish them a luck as well. That's what's gonna change. That's only that. So it's more on you, what you guys can do to advance our cause. If you guys do more than you're doing now, then we're fine. We'll be perfectly fine. Any other questions? Yes, Adil, go
Adil
ahead.
has a lot of questions back
I like that.
I know. We're
I'm
gonna
happy-
recruit
I
him.
want to recruit him to move to Dayton, actually.
Where does he live right now?
He now came to Philadelphia,
I
right?
just moved to Philly, yeah.
Yeah, but
That's still
hopefully you
that's
can-
a swing state. We can use your
Hopefully you
vote.
can move back to Ohio. He's from Oklahoma. Go ahead.
My question is, there was a lot of emphasis put on Georgia, and I agree to get residency in the homeland and get that approved. I know like nationally, we can lobby for our politicians, get behind officials to get our voices heard. What can we do internationally I know sometimes it's very difficult to have your voices heard in a foreign country. What kind of advocacy can you do internationally to get this type of things approved?
So let's divide into two issues that internationally needs to be heard. First is the Georgia issue. It's a separate issue. It's a very complicated. That will require not just the U.S. effort, but many others. And I'm glad that today, as we speak, there is an organization now transforming called the Organization of Turkic Nations or Turkic States. I believe that's one of the key body that needs to take lead in the Georgia, and we will have a Georgia panel. I will speak more on this topic. But not alone. It has to impair their effort with the U.S., at least U.S., preferably European Union, but it's so fragmented, European Union, I'm not sure how there could be unified position, that maybe. That's one issue. Second issue, purely about being heard internationally. If your voice heard in U.S. Congress or by U.S. State Department, it means it's heard a lot of other places already. So there's the two things that we need to work. One, internationally with the Turkey and Organization of Turkic States, European Union, and U.S. Second is within our grassroots to be heard in U.S. Congress, to be heard in U.S. Senate, in the local authorities. That's the two things. And second one is easier if we are unified effort by youth and by the economic power. He just said that, well, you hear, next election, you're gonna come to us for money. That's how it's happening, through money. I want to emphasize, and I want to tell our people, my people, those who are gonna watch it, it's important that if you guys can record this part and separately, unless we are deploying the economic welfare we are earned here, we didn't come here for granted. We come here because we suffer. Some other people still suffering. That's the reason we are come here. Now it's our duty to deploy some of economic freedom we're receiving, and we're doing well, to causes like this. We have to be actively supporting politicians who support our cause. Maybe even those who didn't support, so they can, at least we get the chance to be heard. Maybe next time he will at least abstain the vote or will think twice before saying something that can hurt us. But there's two channels. One is vote, second is money. We need to do everything possible to be active and deploy economic welfare, part of it, and to us different parts of, not just the one party, but different players within the parties. This is critical. This is a very important. Thank you.
I just wanted to build on something
And then we can close.
Islam said just now about the webinar that Steve, Maria, and I did of the Wilson Center. That recording is available on the Wilson website, and maybe we can post it to the community center page. But also, if this video is available and you want to circulate to generate knowledge, to generate interest about the AHISCA, you can certainly circulate the webinar video on which Maria, Steve, and I appeared. And I also don't know. I think this video will be available as well.
Yes. I think we'll conclude this panel. We have another.
One more question? Oh, man.
I love it.
All right, the young man.
No, you should ask. You should be ashamed. No, you should not be ashamed. You should listen. No. You have a perfect English. Let him
fine.
ask.
Ask.
Just don't get hesitation, please. You know, many of people here maybe doesn't have enough Turkish or Russian. So you have a perfect. Go ahead and ask as much as
Like
you
this? Good?
want. Yes.
Okay, my question like this. Why we're not doing every year the same day, making taking flag, Georgian and Turkey, and American making, how is it called?
Meetings.
Meeting in the DC. Every year we need to do same day. Maybe first year will be only 10
Demonstration.
Demonstration. Maybe first year only will be 10 people. Next year, other
Good idea.
100.
Next year, let's
Every-
organize that.
The idea to be every year we need to be doing that one until everybody starting hearing us.
Yes.
Okay. Good
That,
idea.
that young man in the
Amazing.
back should organize it since he wants to be
Yeah.
involved, right?
Yeah. And it's important that you and our friend Camille from Philadelphia actually working very hard with the people in Philadelphia because you are close to DC. Anything else? If not, let's give a break and start maybe earlier the third panel. At 3 p.m. we're gonna start our third panel, last panel. It will be done within the 1 hour, and then we're going to a beautiful place called Dayanat Center in America. It's one of the very unique places we're gonna all go, whoever wants.
Are we going somewhere? Where are you going?
It's a very unique cathedral, Turkish mosque, but not just the mosque. It's one of the, it's like in Islam.
Yeah. Sure. I'll make sure I keep my remarks short. So, I don't know about the general